Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 13th episode of our Buffalo Bills podcast. Today, we will be discussing the Bills' upcoming game against the Los Angeles Chargers. I'd like to welcome my friend Adrian now.
What's up, everyone?
Okay, Adrian, the Bills sit at 8-6 right now. We're fighting for the playoff spot, the wild card. I presume that in order to get in, we have to win out. Do you agree?
Um, well, yeah, not mathematically because there's still a chance if we drop a
Yeah.
game. Yeah, but pretty much, yeah, we have to win out, and I'm not expecting us, or not planning on us losing to the Chargers because they are one of at the moment one of the worst teams in the league. But what does scare me about them though, and like about us like dropping maybe today, is that they just fired their head coach, and usually historically teams that fire their head coach the next week they tend to like have a good performance. So honestly, like it might be a trap game for us, but I'm expecting us to get the win and also expecting us to win out. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It could be a trap game. I view this game as massively important though. Like the Bills can't not win here. They have to win because this is not only a team with the same record as the Jets, whom are the second worst team in the league. This is not only a team that, yeah, is dysfunctional. They just gave up like 60 points um uh last week. This team stinks. And it's not only all that, they're also in the conference. So if we want to have any chance at making the playoffs, I presume that we have to have a good conference record to get the tiebreakers. So this is a must-win game, because of that. Um, go as you said, this could be a trap game, unfortunately. I could easily see that happening. But I hope after beating the Chiefs and beating the Cowboys, they won't let themselves lose to the Chargers of all teams. What do you think?
Yeah, it's like I do agree with how we've beaten so many good teams this year, and but it would just be so typical for us to drop to a crap team, I think. Um, but yeah, I'm not really worried about the game though overall because again, they don't really have anyone that I should be worried about right now. Herbert is out for the season, and they don't really have real weapons on offense. Their defense is absolute trash,
Their
and
defense stinks.
yeah, they're terrible. I'm not worried, but yeah, I do think that we'll take care of business.
Don't
Yeah,
forget, this is the same team that lost to the Denver Broncos and Patriots and Jets, so I understand the worry.
yeah.
Um, going into this game though, right now we're in the ninth seed behind Houston, Indianapolis, and Cincinnati. Those are basically the three teams whom we are fighting with to make the playoffs. And all us and those three teams all are 8-6 right now. The Bengals are playing on Saturday, which and so are we. So if the Bengals somehow lose and we win, I'm not 100% sure, but I think we definitely at least move up a spot and they move to the ninth seed, at least. Um, so this game, a lot of things could move around in terms of the playoffs race, depending on the outcome of this game. Going into the game, though, what do you think that Joshua Allen has to do in order to exploit the Chargers defense?
So, a theme at the beginning of the year, why we were starting off slow in games, was just that we were unprepared in games. We weren't ready to dominate. And it was mainly against the bad teams in the beginning of the year that we were struggling against. So, in this game, what the Raiders did, they just immediately attacked, put the Chargers off balance, and then at that point, the game's over. So, against this team, a bad team, a defense that should be relatively easy to score points on, I'm expecting us to come out firing, touchdown the first drive, maybe like on the first couple of drives, I need touchdowns, just touchdowns from Josh. I need him to be slinging the ball. I need him to, how about some splash plays as well? Like some just like I need this offense to like really dominate. And it all comes down to Josh and what he does, mainly throwing. I want him to have a really good game passing the ball. I also don't want to see any turnovers, but overall, I think that he'll have a great game.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you something. If this should be one of Allen's best games of the season, um, they just allowed 60 points to the Raiders. Who's their quarterback? Is Jimmy Garoppolo's benched, I think. So
Yeah,
they don't
he's
they don't
injured, I think. Yeah.
yeah, whatever it is. So they just allowed 60 points to the Raiders, whom fired their head coach earlier in the year. So if we can't score at least 30, that's gonna be a little disturbing. Really, this should be a blowout game. I presume that we could win like 30 to 5 to 7 or something. Um, I'll we'll give our score predictions later, but I expect a big game from Allen. I expect a lot of throws, a lot of runs. Honestly, I need Diggs. I need Diggs. I need Stephon Diggs to have a good game. I really do. If he doesn't have a good game, I mean that's gonna be like it's too many weeks in a row. He needs to this is the his opportunity to get back on track. Hopefully Allen could utilize Kincaid, maybe Gabe Davis, maybe James Cook will cook again. We'll see. Is there somebody on offense for us whom you want Allen to target? What do you think?
Um, like you said, I think that it's about time Diggs, our number one wide receiver, our supposedly elite wide receiver. I think it's about time that he turns up in a football game. No better than to do it than against the Chargers because Diggs does really well against bad teams. I mean, not to say he's not clutch, but he tends to feed off of like not good defenses. That's when he has bet his best games. And I think like this is reminiscent of like 2020 where we would just go against a bad team and then just completely dominate. Diggs would have two touchdowns and 150 yards. I want to see one of those performances because if we can get the run game clicking as how we have been in the recent weeks. Josh Allen running the ball with his legs and also getting Diggs comfortable like and consistent. I think that that'll be the key to us going forward. Like we already figured out the run game, but now can we actually consistently have a passing game with our number one wide receiver? So Diggs for me.
Yes, in the playoffs, I think it's important to have a good run game, especially late in the games. But you need to have a good passing game, and I think it's about time that the Bills do both. Run the ball well, pass the ball well, and and hopefully that could continue going into the playoffs. Now, let me ask you a question. Right now, the Dolphins are 10-4. We're 8-6, sitting 2 games behind them with 1 game to play. How do you view the Bills' chances at winning this division? Go ahead.
So I do really think there's not only a genuine chance, but it's also likely that we will win the division. I have so much confidence because the Dolphins, as a football team, they do this every year. They collapse in what is it, December or late in the season. They always collapse. So, like last season, they had the division wrapped up, but they started losing games. Buffalo started winning games, and eventually we took over. So I think that, especially looking at their schedule, they play Dallas, which could very well be a loss. I mean, the Dallas, we dominate them, but they're still a very good football team. Then they play the Ravens, who are the number one seed in the AFC, who I think are a somewhat dangerous team, and us. So, and then our next two games are the Chargers, who are dysfunctional right now, and the Patriots, who are one of the worst teams in the NFL. So I think us winning our two games and the Dolphins losing their two games is very realistic. Like very realistic. And then we go into week 18 with that being the game that decides the division. So that to me, I mean, how can you not like be excited about that? I am because I think that it's very possible that we win the division because we're going to beat the Dolphins in week 18 and it's just up to us to win our games and then it's up to the Dolphins to lose their games like they always do. So, I'm pretty confident that we can win the division.
Yes, I agree with you. I think if we go into week 18 in a position where if we win, we could win the division, I think we'll win the game. The thing that worries me most is the game against the Cowboys for the Dolphins and the game against the Ravens. I'm not 100% confident that the Dolphins are going to lose both games. I think there's a chance that they could win one of them. And if they win one of them, I'm not 100% sure, but I think we won't be able to win the division if they win one of those games. Especially the
Mhm.
Cowboys. I do think they could beat the Cowboys, but we'll see. Um, but if we go into the final game, as you said, I think I would be stunned if we don't beat them because they're just not a good team. I don't think they're a good team, the Dolphins. I really don't. They're overrated. So, hopefully they could lose out and we could win out. And yeah. Are you worried though that with the bye we might be oh wait, no, would we have to no. Are you worried though going just let's say we don't win the division, we get in as a wild card. How worried about you about for a potential matchup against, say, if we got in as the 7th seed, we play Miami, which is actually a good matchup I think for us.
Yeah.
But if we win the division and we're the 2 seed, then we would be playing someone I
Like
think then
so,
we would be playing Miami too.
oh yeah.
So would you like that where we potentially play Miami 2 games in a row for the week 18 and then week 1 and then the wild card?
I mean, that would be crazy, but I mean, it's kind of like, look, I know that we own the Dolphins and that like they're a fraudulent team. They can't really beat good teams, but I also know that they can be difficult. Like we sometimes struggle against them, and I do think on any given day whether we're home or away, whether we're the 2 seed or the 7th seed or whatever, I think that they can give us a problem. So while I wouldn't be worried about them, I think that there might be better matchups. Like there are some like pretty bad teams that are in this AFC playoff mix who are starting backup quarterbacks. I think that all of those would be much better matchups than the Dolphins. Like for example, this is if we win the division, which I think we're probably gonna do, by the way.
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland, starting Joe Flacco and are just overall a mid football team. The the Colts, who are just they're backup quarterback, Gardner Minshew. Um, Steelers, Mitchell Trubisky, not scared of that. The Bengals, another back. Everyone has a backup quarterback. And yeah, I'm not really worried about those teams as much as I am about Miami. But if we do end up playing Miami, which is most likely what's going to happen, don't be worried because I'm not going to be. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'd be a little worried because I don't like facing them 2 weeks in a row. However,
Yeah.
I think in a playoff game I'd expect to win. Um I just I think they're tremendously overrated and I think they have been for a while now, to be frank. Now, just to get back to this Chargers game, is there anyone on the Chargers whom you view as a real threat to the defense? A wide receiver, a running back, anyone on the Chargers offense who you view as a threat to kill us tonight?
Um, One guy, I think there's really only one guy to keep your eye out for, and that's Austin Eckler because Keenan Allen right now is, I think he's actually had a somewhat of a resurgence this year, but I still think he's old and washed, and really the only like productive guy on offense for the Chargers this year, other than Herbert, obviously, has been Austin Eckler. He's been getting touched consistently for like a few years now. not only this year, he's been doing really good for multiple years now, and I think that he's the kind of player that would just go have a crazy game against the Bills and somewhat somehow make us win this no lose this game. But I'm not really super worried about him. But if there's one player, it's Austin Eckler because he's just a great player.
Yeah, I agree. I think Austin Eckler is of all the players on that team, he worries me the most. Um,
Yeah.
Now let's get to top performer. Who do you think will have the biggest game in this game for us?
Uh, Total for the whole team, I'm gonna say. You know, I'm on the James Cook hype train right now. I think that he's been excellent and he's been the key to our offense recently. And I see no reason why he's gonna slow down other than just a crazy like whatever. But I think that he's gonna have another great game. Like I see no reason why we're not gonna feed him again, and I see no reason why he's not gonna go crazy on a terrible Chargers run defense. So James Cook, I expect him to have a great game.
Yes, that is a rather good prediction. I think for me, I really like Stephon Diggs in this game. I think he's gonna
Yeah.
get like over 120 yards. I mean, the Chargers stink. So he's probably gonna, I think he's gonna get 120, 130 yards tonight with 8 receiving things and a couple touchdowns. I don't know. I like him tonight. Now let's do score predictions. By what score do you predict the Bills win tonight?
I want to go big because I do think we can. It's either going to be two games. It's either going to be we completely blow them out, we're going to dominate,
It's
and
gonna be
it's
like
going
the
to be
Denver Broncos game, or
oh
it's
yeah,
gonna be
or
like yeah, yeah, that,
yeah,
or like a blowout. Like,
the
yeah,
Raiders. The Raiders are
yeah,
earlier in the season. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but what am I leaning towards? I have a weird feeling it's going to be a close game, but I'll go. I'll go 28-10 Buffalo because I still do think it's the Chargers and they're not good at all.
Good. I like that prediction a lot. I am under the assumption that the your Buffalo Bills will win by a score of 45 to 13.
Okay.
I think we're gonna blow their little socks off tonight. I mean, they just lost 60 points to the Raiders. How is that even possible? The Raiders stink. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of our Buffalo Bills podcast. I'd like to thank my friend Adrian. We will see you for the post game soon. Thank you.